In the last recording, we had talked about a lawyer, NGUNJIRI. NGUNJIRI, the name means black bull. Black bull. I talked of him being an opportunistic lawyer. Mufiala Rigiji surrounded himself with a lot of fake people. Out of 30 people whom he uses as his advisors, 20 are genuine, 20 are committed, but around 10 are fake, and that is why I said one of them is NGUNJIRI, black bull. Now, when it comes to politicians, the other person, now I want to give an example of a politician, because I've already given an example of a lawyer. Now I want to give an example of a politician who was an opportunistic person to Mufiala Rigathi Gachagua. Of course, in Luya, Mufiala is a cousin, and by virtue of my mother was a Matherian, not even a Matherian, she was a West Matherian. So Rigathi Gachagua is my Mufiala in quotes. I want to talk about Wambugu. Who is representing politicians who made Nani befall himself. Remember, I've been saying that Rigiji's greatest mistake was to look for people who are shadowing elected leaders in Kikuyu land, especially Nyeri. He chose people, not that he had anything against Swans. After all, they campaigned together. All those MCS, all those MPs, all those senators, all those governors, all those women rep. During the 2022 general election, they campaigned together under UDA and also under Kenya Kwanza. But something I think he may have explained it better when he said that he's a good student of his boss. He learned from his boss. The only two problem is, Waswahili wanasema bahati ya mwenzio usilalie mlango wazi. That is one. Two, what Ruto took 20 years to make, Gachagua was trying to make it in 2 years. Yes, Gachagua is a good mobilizer, but he wanted to make sure that all MPs in the mountain region, especially west of the mountain, he wanted to have a new slate. Not because the old ones are bad or anything, but the new ones in 2027 will, when he says jump, they ask, we jump how high? That is what he wanted. Now, among the political people he chose is the former MP for Nyeri Town, NGUNJIRI Wambugu. And that is one of the biggest mistakes, because NGUNJIRI Wambugu, if I have to equate him, I think the nearest description is when you are in Luo land, there is somebody called Raphael Tuju. over 80% of the time of these two politicians, they look around where they come from. And when they see the people in the area going in this direction, they will go the opposite direction. They are almost always against the tide in their home areas. And then again, when they have a very little say, when they have a very little power, they misuse it. If you look at Wambugu, he was in the ODM. He was in the ODM for a very long time. He was in the ODM for a long time. He is a very big supporter of Raila Amolo Odinga. Same applies to my maternal uncle, Peter Kuguru. Yes, you heard it. Peter Kuguru is my maternal uncle. Actually, the lady who carried me for 9 months was brought up by Peter Kuguru's parents. She was brought up by Peter Kuguru's mother and Peter Kuguru's father. Peter Kuguru's father was Davidson, cabinet minister Davidson Kuguru. So as I was saying, my uncle, my maternal uncle Peter Kuguru and Wambugu both have a soft spot for Raila Odinga. I don't know much about Wambugu, but I've interacted a lot with my uncle Peter Kuguru. His is a genuine and sincere liking for Raila Odinga. That one I can tell you as a family member who is also a member, who is also an emeritus NIS. Now this fellow Wambugu always took the wrong direction, and on a few occasions, just like Raphael Tuju has on a few occasions looked around and seen that the direction of people in my area are going this way. Then he has followed what people in his area have done on very few occasions. That is what happened in 2017. 2017, Wambugu joined Jubilee Party. When he joined, Ngunjiri joined Jubilee Party. When he joined Jubilee Party, hakukaa. You see, this is the thing that we say. If you enter an association where you are a new member, you don't rush. Oh, we don't have an AGM. Oh, we don't have whatever you. Bana, kaa, tulia, know what is happening. Get used to the things. So when he joined 2017, he won. I think if I'm not wrong, he floored the lady Esther, the former minister. But anyway, he was the MP then. When he was the MP for Jubilee, suddenly, you know, Ruto, suddenly in 2017, they had just after the election. Now, depending on whom you listen to, but to me, I say both sides are right. If you go to Uhuru's side, he say that Ruto immediately started campaigning for 2022. But if you find on Ruto's side is that Uhuru's mother had approached Moi, and they had wanted to use Ruto to win the second election, and then edge him out Gachagua style. That was the intention. Edge him out Gachagua style through. But not Gachagua went through impeachment, but Ruto was supposed to be frustrate him to an extent that he resigns. So there was tension between Ruto and Uhuru. And Uhuru started going around, I think he started it at Isinya, Kitengela area, where he was saying that huyo kijana anaitwa Ruto akikuja akitangatanga huku na huku, and then Ruto used it as they say when they throw stones at you, you take those stones and build houses. So he used that and said, yeah, mtukufu rais, ile kazi ulinituma ya kutangatanga huku na, that is how the name Katangatanga came. But then Wambugu came up with a strong statement. The word kieleweke came from him. Kieleweke. It is derived from the Kikuyu word, which directly being translated into Kiswahili is kieleweke, meaning that this is like, for those of you who know a military background, we have somebody called Sergeant Major, Regimental Sergeant Major. Sergeant Major does not reason with you. He just tells you kieleweke kwamba this and this will happen and whatever. Ni hivyo mnasema ndio sa. And then this and this will happen. Ni hivyo ama si hivyo? Ni hivyo sa. Kieleweke. So the first person to you remember Uhuru is the one who said tanga tanga. Ruto akikuja kutanga tanga huku na huku. And so there was that team that supported Ruto. And then there is another team which was anti-Ruto, which was with David Murathe. David Murathe, who was the vice chairman of Jubilee. Murathe was so vocal and so rude to Ruto, even though Ruto was the deputy. This one was a deputy chairman, and this one was a deputy part leader. But they were just telling him kieleweke hivi na hivi na hivi. So that is where Ngunjiri came in. And you see, Kikuyus were not, especially Kikuyus from Nyeri, they were not happy with Ngunjiri, but I mean, because he was very dictatorial. And so they sided with a nobody. In fact, the MP for Nyeri town, I even don't know him now, just a small nobody. He came up and he was elected simply because he was the alternative to Ngunjiri. Ngunjiri is, if he decides to be a reasonable leader, he's a very reasonable leader. Now, what happened was that immediately after Ruto and Gachagua had been elected, Gachagua sidelined the MP for Nyeri town. The fellow, I've forgotten his name. And made him, if that MP wants to see Gachagua, he had to go to Wambugu Ngunjiri to seek for permission. And even he started showing people in Nyeri town that the next election is going to return Ngunjiri there. And as I've said, Ngunjiri has this characteristic of dictatorship. Now you see, these are two things. He has a characteristic of dictatorship, and Gachagua had started a system where he was replacing people elected on UDA. He was looking for people who came second or even a strong third and tried to place them. And why was he placing them there? He was placing there with one very simple intention, that come 2027, these are the people who will be elected. he took, when it is said that he's a good mobilizer, he took that word a bit too far. He took it a bit too far, where he literally believed in himself. So he, even in Madira, where our constituency, he started undermining the MP for Madira. But you see, the MP for Madira did not even want to be the MP for Madira. This is what had happened. Uh, I come from Kirimukuyu ward, and Rigathi is from Rogoro. Kabiruin, I think, is in Rogoro. Yeah, is in Rogoro. Now, when he was chosen as a running mate, meant that he was not to be an MP. Then he wanted the MCA for Rogoro, his own area, to be made the MP, and the people said no. Internal Madera politics came, that the same ward cannot produce an MP and at the same time produce a deputy president. So there was, I'm trying to remember this ward, where the person who was to be the MCA was now elevated on UDA to contest for MPship. So and we have many people of that nature, uh, like Raphael, what do we call Raphael Wanchala Budalangi. One time I'll talk about him, but he was supposed to be councillor, and Budalangi in Kiluya means place of lions, and Ford Kenya was a lion. So they said that since he was a bit more educated than other councillors for Ford Kenya, he should go for MPship. And the people are saying, Budalangi, Budalangi. By saying Budalangi, you are still saying Ford Kenya, Simba. So I've also given another example. The example I've just given is of a councillor who went for the MPship. And here now I'm saying of an MCA who wanted to be an MCA for his ward, but people said that Rogoro cannot produce a deputy president and at the same time produce an MP. So he was just jacked in the way Raphael Wanchala was did. And then Rigiji wanted him to be an MP for one term. Not because he had any difference with the Rigiji or anything, but Rigiji wanted people whom, throughout the mountain, he wanted leaders of all cadres who he would just call them and tell them, if it were not for me, then it would not have been you. So that is Madera. And when it came to Nyeri town, the current MP, whom I've said I'm not remembering his name, came on a UDA. And this NGUNJIRI, who is a founder member, actually is the one who said Kieleweke, now became so close to Rigiji. And my viewers, the short story here is that, the summary of it is that this is a leading member. This is a leading person who shows that Rigathi Gachagua had no, uh, had, something is coming to my mind. Let me share with you. There is a word in English called regardless, isn't it? Regardless. But something is coming to my mind telling me regardless. Now, Kikuyu politics are coming to a place where it will be regardless. Not regardless, but regardless. So he did these things very fast. He did it so fast and so whatever. What Ruto did in 20 years, he was doing it in 2 years. You can see there is my video which I said about the sixth president. I said that he'll be in the 70s, and I even gave out figures. And you can see that Kindiki is also born in the 70s. Thank you.